Pop quiz. You're handed the keys to a Nightmare on Elm Street's film franchise, and your only responsibility is finding a way to rebound from a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. Thus far, really the only disappointing sequel New Line Cinema has given us here. Can you do better than what they did with Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare? Let's talk about it. We kick this thing off with another one of those quotes about sleep and death and dreams and nightmares that we love and adore, followed up by one of Freddy's original quotes from Part 3 when he welcomes Jennifer to prime time in the TV room at Weston Hills. Sadly, this is probably the highlight of this film. We jump ahead about 10 years in this movie, and that could help explain why we don't have any of the major players from the last one back for this one. No Alice, no Baby, no all of a sudden cool Alice's father. I mean, it is a fresh crop of talent for this movie. And in Springwood, apparently all the children have been killed off, and all of the adults have lost their mind. I mean, they are nuts. They're teaching empty classrooms. They are fawning over any child that they do see. Everything in Springwood has died, for lack of a better term. Our lead in this movie is a young man that has amnesia. He's supposed to be a teenager, but he looks closer to 35. And he's being tormented by Freddy. Big surprise, right? The first we see of Freddy in this movie, though, he is impersonating the Wicked Witch of the West as this kid is in a house that's falling from the sky to the ground beneath him. Then we get Freddy Krueger dressed up as a bus driver. That tells you exactly what type of movie we're in store for with this one. With us apparently out of Springwood, the backdrop for this film is a center for wayward teens, and that's where our guy with amnesia ends up finding himself. Now, at this center, Yafet Koto plays the in-house doctor who happens to believe in the use of dream therapy to help these kids through their troubled times. He's also one of those guys that believes in the existence of dream demons, and you just know that's going to come into play somewhere down the line in this film. Aside from the female lead, the rest of the cast is forgettable, and it's absolute throwaway. There's no redeeming qualities to any of them, especially the male lead. He's extremely obnoxious, and you can't wait to not see him on your television screen anymore. Much like the superior Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, the plot here is real simple. Freddy has got to have access to a new group of kids. He's burned through all the kids in Springwood, and he's using this young man with amnesia at the onset of the movie to get out of Springwood and into a new community so he can have a fresh group of kids to torment, torture, and eventually kill.
Now be a good little doggy and go fetch.
He even gets to a point in this movie where he drops a stellar line.
Every town has an Elm Street.
So because of this inclusion of a Freddy's daughter storyline, we get a glimpse into Freddy's past, and we see that not only was he a married man who just happened to have a nefarious side hobby, he also had an extensive collection of these gloves that he kept hidden at home. And to be honest with you, finding out that he had that many more instruments of torture and death, that was probably the most interesting thing that happened in this movie. The fact is, they just made Freddy too goddamn goofy. He's just not scary anymore. On top of that, these kids are constantly getting away from him. You don't take the guy seriously.
Jump boy!
Whoa! How do these kids just know how to jump in and out of one another's dreams? I mean, I remember when that was a rare power that only Kristen had, who then passed it to Alice, and now we've got these jamokes on here doing it at random. I thought that took a lot away from me. I mean, this movie lost me very early on, and I was completely checked out by that point. Now, I did stay for the ending, because you can't review a movie without watching the ending. And the ending was bland. It was run-of-the-mill. In no way did it suggest that Freddy was actually dead, because it wasn't any more emphatic than the 5 movies that came before it. This movie ages gracefully. It's not good. It's a 2 out of 10. I will happily never watch this movie again. And I love this series. A Nightmare on Elm Street hits a lot more than it misses. But man, they missed big here. And we will never talk about this movie again on Aging Gracefully. I am Matthew Essex. Thank you for staying with us on this one. I'll see you on the other side.